विद्यानाम नरस्वरूपमधिकम् प्रच्छन्नगुप्तं धनम्.
My most humble and loving salutations at the divine lotus feet of my Lord, Sri Sathya Sai Baba. Sai Ram, dear brothers and sisters, today I'm sharing experiences that have completely changed me and how I live my life forever. Experiences that have contributed to my transformation. I attended my very first bhajan back in 1973 in India, and June of 1975 was my first visit to Preeti with my family. Those days there were only 4 or 5 darshan lines, so we all got to sit in the front row. It was morning darshan, and Swami came out and he stood in the veranda directly looking at us. The first time he laid eyes on me, my world transformed. His first gaze piercing right through me as though he knew my past, my present, and future. And for a few seconds, everything came to a standstill. I didn't hear the sound of the crows. I had no awareness of my surrounding. The look stirred deep emotions of love and devotion. And I remember I started crying, just unstoppable tears of joy and happiness. He then moved towards the men's side. And when he approached my brother, he blessed my brother and gave both him and my dad Pad Namaskar. He then came to the ladies' side, giving Pad Namaskar to all of us. With this first darshan and my first Pad Namaskar, I felt as though I had known Baba for many lifetimes, and the feelings that I was unable to explain and still unable to describe. Through the rest of the visit, I remember being showered by his love with each darshan, and I felt the intensity of oneness with him. In 1976, after marriage, I moved to Canada, making it my permanent home, and I would question him many times as to why he moved me so far away from his physical presence. We moved within Canada several times and were not always in places with Sai centers, but we continued to serve the community in many different ways through volunteering at the food bank and shelters for homeless and the elderly. Now, one specific transformative experience was during my time volunteering for hospice care. We lived in Yukon at the time, and as a volunteer, I offered support to dying and bereaved clients at the hospital, in care facilities, or in private homes. And I ran a support group for children of all ages that were suffering from emotional and behavioral trauma. At hospice, I was also the first responder volunteer for the local police service, providing support to traumatized families or individuals. My years as a community volunteer brought me great satisfaction, and it made for a very humbling and learning experience, and it drew me, I think, closer to dearest Bhagwan and contributed to my transformation. In 1976, we moved back to Edmonton and began my journey of service to Swami within his organization, and I served in many different roles, the last one being the president SSSIO Canada until 2021. In each one of these roles, I felt a satisfaction and a fulfillment, and it convinced me that Bhagwan himself was at work. I was also able to witness a number of Bhagwan Baba's miracles in my parents' lives. He saved my parents from serious illnesses and hardships several times, and I witnessed and experienced many of his healing miracles on them, and through each episode, making their faith stronger. One of the things that I learned from them was that they never said, "Why us?" With each instance and suffering, they would say, "Swami is removing our past karmas." Let me share my own experience with Swami and the role he is playing in my life. My experiences with Bhagwan are no different from any other devotee. The only variation depending upon the background and the understanding of the experience, and of course the learning that occurred for me after each experience. I'm a cancer survivor, not once, but now 3 times, and each time recovered with his blessing. The first episode was in 1985, which came as a shock also because I was very young at the time and had a 3-year-old daughter. But with Swami's grace, after the surgeries and a 1.5 years of treatments, I survived. The second incident was in 2004. Once again, since discovered in early stages, with Swami's grace, I survived. The third time I was diagnosed with cancer was 2022. By then, we had moved to Toronto from Edmonton. In 2021, our daughter had been transferred to Vancouver, so we would visit there to be with the grandkids. In 2019 and 2020, due to COVID, I missed some yearly tests. November 2021, I had my regular checkup, and since I did not hear back from the doctors, we went to Vancouver for a visit, thinking everything must be okay. Now, while in Vancouver, I heard from the radiologist's office telling me to come back for more tests and biopsies because the radiologist saw something suspicious. Since I didn't have a GP in Vancouver, this meant that I had to drop everything and go back to Toronto. So after the initial shock, I started thinking and praying to Swami for a solution. A voice inside of me said, "Call Sister Nishi Dhawan for advice." She was the only physician I knew in Vancouver, so I called Sister Nishi and explained to her what had happened, and Sister Nishi immediately told me not to worry and said, "Let me see what I can do." She was that angel, that Swami in disguise, that not only arranged for the tests and biopsies, but also the required surgery and the follow-up treatments. I was once again diagnosed with stage 2 cancer, but with Swami's grace recovered. Looking back, I know for sure that there was a divine blessing in why I found out about the diagnosis in Vancouver and how Sister Nishi was able to arrange for all this within a month of the diagnosis. I might have had to wait for months in Toronto, and it was only because of her and by the grace of Swami that everything was taken care of in a timely manner. Since 2022, every 6 months, I go through a number of tests and scans and MRIs, and so far, Swami has kept me cancer-free. Once again, feeling his compassion and grace. I would get very nervous with each scan, but now I have overcome the fear because of my total trust and surrender to his will. I feel his omnipresence and omnipotence and omniscience in all I do. And no matter how big, no matter how small, for me, Swami was always at the forefront, responding to my prayers with each difficult period I faced. His presence and grace was evident each time. Baba manifested himself in forms of doctors and nurses and friends and family members that helped me through each crisis. In our everyday lives, I experience miracles even in the small things, which are intended, no doubt, to remind me that he's always there. He is protecting and guarding and blessing everything. Having Baba in our lives brings that new meaning to our life. Can I and will I ever comprehend his divinity? Possibly not in this lifetime. And so I have decided only to experience him. With each divine experience, I continue to feel his love, His generosity, His kindness, compassion, and feeling of His blessings filling my life everywhere I go, whether to the hospital, doctor's appointment, or even on a holiday. Swami is always with me and in everything I do. I have always believed that to be engaged in His work is the noblest task that a spiritual aspirant can do. While serving Him and following the path shown by Him, we, the aspirant, can become spiritually uplifted, or as he says, transformed. Transformation is what Swami wants. And in reflecting on each episode and experience in our lives, some of them bring us joy and happiness, some bring sadness, some bring us awe and gratitude, and some leave us uplifted. But each experience making us think about the transformation that Swami is looking for. And I know now that with His divine blessing, the spiritual growth will take place, whether we are aware of it or not. Dear brothers and sisters, this is the 100th year of the Advent, of His Advent. And so as a gift on this day, let us process the transformation. Begin with each one of us. Let us offer ourselves to dear Swami. Can we today pledge on His 100th birthday to bring in the golden era and become the beacon of light by our conduct and behavior towards each other? Let us together strive to let our divinity shine through our words and thoughts and deeds. We can, as His true devotee and as His spiritual workers, resolve to bring the love, peace, and harmony that we so need right now. I now know and understand that it depends on us to create the golden era, and that my transformation, together with yours, will transform the world. Loving Sai Rams to all. Jai Sai Ram.